Hello, everybody. Yeah, stop the music. Stop that banner. Another live chat day, one day before Independence Day in the United States. That is tomorrow, July 4th. For those of you joining for the first time, this is my monthly live chat. I'm Magna Gopal, host of Empowered with Magna. And this is our monthly live chat. This is number 40, The Art of Connection. And the way these live chats work is typically there are issues that I come across. There are topics that I end up discussing with either friends, with students, with clients, and the lessons that I've gained or the problems that they've encountered, they are, I would believe, relevant to everybody. Not just that particular interaction with that person, but I think to everyone. So, the purpose of these live chats is to empower everybody to think differently or to just start to question things that they find are the norm. As always, it is great to know where you are all joining from. So, whether you are joining right now live or whether you're watching the replay, leave a comment and let me know what city, what country, and I can give you a shout out. And then we'll be getting into our topic. And as always, with these live chats, interaction is great. My purpose in sharing the actual topic is because I think it's important, but I am always curious about how you approach the topic, how you view the topic. What has your experience been pertaining to this topic, and what are your questions so that I can try to answer them. And if I can't provide you with an answer today, I will do my best to look that up, research it, find out more, and either in the next live chat or replying to your comment in the actual live stream comments, I will provide an answer. Pookie Wookie in the UK. I have been many times. Nice to have you here. Shruti from Mumbai, nice to have you here as well. Utkarsh from Mumbai as well. Wow, India's in the house, showing up. Exciting. So again, the topic today is going to be the art of connection. So it's really about connection and why it's important and what happens when we don't think about it or when we don't, one, make it important, but also before making it important, define what it actually means to us. As always in past live chats, I've talked about the importance of definitions, right? Like it's one thing to share terms and terminology and talk about the same things with other people, but you really got to get clear on the definition. Like, do I define things the same way? Does connection mean to me what it means to you? Because if it doesn't, and we have not clarified that meaning, that definition, then we might be pursuing two completely different things. And then there's conflict, right? The conflict is typically a result of I am doing it the right way. You're not doing it the right way. I'm pursuing connection. You say you're pursuing connection, but really you're not doing the thing the way I define them to be correct in the pursuit of connection. And so then now there's conflict and it's unnecessary. And where it starts is through the definitions, right? It's like really important to understand what the hell are we talking about? How do you define it? How do you see it? And then discussing it from there. From Germany, hello. Is that Mariusz? I think. Connection equals awareness and listening. Connection equals a lot of things, right? And this is why I say this. Connection equals a lot of things. There's no wrong interpretation, right? And the reason I say that also is because we all approach connection, relationships, authentic expression. We approach all of these things from our own viewpoint, and our viewpoint is determined by the experiences we have had. Our perspective, our definitions are determined by the experiences we have had. Can those definitions and perspectives change? Can our mindset and our approach to life and different areas change? Of course it can, but we need to see it first, right? Somebody needs to open that discussion up with us, and we need to be open to it to the possibility of something different. And then we need to see whether or not it fits in with our life and if we can actually implement it. Right. So things are definitely possible. Change is possible, rather. But first is understanding, getting to kind of a uh, equal level of understanding of terms, or at least communicating what we think they mean. So, hi, Wade. So, everybody who's in house, drop a message into the comments, whether you're watching live or the replay. Let me know where you are joining from. And also, if you have questions or comments pertaining to this topic or any other topic, and you don't feel like adding it publicly into the comment thread, you can always click on the feedback form. So, either through my website, Magna Gopal, the contact section, or magnagopal.com/feedback. And then click on the feedback form there for the live chat and add whatever you would like to add. Those are very private. I don't share that with anybody else. And if there is a topic there that you want me to discuss, I will gladly approach it, open up that conversation, and mention you or not mention you, depending on your preference. So feedback form is also really important to me because I like to understand whether or not this topic, whatever topic that we're working on, has resonated with you, and to understand if there's value here, right? Like, there was value in this conversation with me and my clients, or me and my students, or me and my friends, or whomever I'm talking to. There's been value. And so my whole goal is to try and expand the reach of that value, right? If it worked really great between me and one person, why can't it work with a greater audience, a larger audience? So that's the purpose of these live chats. And I won't really know unless you share it in the comments or if you leave a message and feedback. Wade said, my sippy time, coffee at hand and headphones on. Fantastic. I am done with coffee. It's after 12 o'clock. I kind of have a cutoff time for this. All right, so let's talk about connection. There are a couple of ways that I'd like to discuss it, or a couple of different levels. Obviously, there are many levels that we can connect with other people. But today, I want to discuss it on the level of kind of conversations, right? Kind of conversations that we have with other people, non-dance, verbal conversations. The dance connection that we have with our partner, as well as the connection that we have with the music. So kind of two topics, dance related and then non-dance related. And what is connection, right? Like, so I'm going to ask you, what is connection when it comes to dance? Like, if you're connecting with your dance partner, what is a good connection? And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the challenges, right? So think about the good points, like what would you qualify as a good connection, and also what would you qualify as a lack of connection. So the reason for this topic is mainly because of a bunch of comments as well that I had seen in Instagram and Facebook and YouTube on some of the other videos I had posted. And there's this notion on the dance floor that there's a lead and there's a follow, and the lead dictates what happens. I know for the most part, those of you who are connecting here with me do not really believe that. So I don't need you to defend this for yourself. Okay. If you don't believe it, I believe you. Okay. However, there is this notion out there. If there wasn't this notion out there, then I think the things that I have done in dance over the decades of introducing the ability of a follower to play, to create, to insert something, to redirect that lead would not be as frowned upon as it is today, despite 20 years, 20 plus years of me doing this, right? The fact that I still encounter resistance, the fact that it's still discussed in a negative way, implies that there is a different understanding of what that connection entails. And it means that typically, or how it's been defined, is that the lead dictates. The follow is still the picture and the lead is the frame. However, the lead dictates which, right? It's like saying, yes, you are my model and I'm going to frame and feature you. However, I'm going to tell you what pose you're going to adopt for this photo that I want to feature of you, right? Now, I obviously disagree with this. It's not really my approach to dance. However, it took me a long time to see that it wasn't the best connection. And the reason I have a problem with it, the reason I struggle with it, with this definition, the reason I push back against it is because a connection like that on the dance floor is like saying a follower is a tool for a lead. Right? The leader is the subject and the follower is the object. You can do what you want with the object. You can expect what you want to expect from the object. That they are not a subject in themselves. That the follower does not have agency of their own. That they don't have input. That they don't have something of value to add to the conversation. And that this connection, this dance connection, this union, and whatever you create out of this is really lead initiated. And it's a one-way thing. And you as a lead could do it with any follow. Okay. And that to me is just ridiculous. the connection when you don't look at a follower, a leader, when the leader does not look at the follower as an object, but a subject with agency, with input, with value, can see a follower as an individual entity just like themselves, right? Leader can see a follower on an equal level as a lead. That's where you really get to create something different. Because if you looked at follows, I'm a leader and I'm saying, well, follower's not supposed to do anything. The entire dance is dictated by me. And we're not talking about levels yet. We'll talk about that later. Let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that all the people I'm talking about right now are high level, right? High skill level. So if I'm a leader, I'm dancing with followers, and my expectation is that you do what I tell you to do, and that's it. Then I'm based like, what is the point of me dancing, right? What's the point of me dancing with multiple people? If I can create the end result of that dance. So that element of agency, right, and appreciating the uniqueness of the individual in front of you is one part of it. But the second part of that connection element is to say, this person adds value. My partner adds value. And this that we have happening together is unique to us because of what we bring to this equation as individuals. And the fact that we are trying to connect our interpretations and our expression with each other. That is the uniqueness. That is why this dance is different with this partner, even if it's the same song I dance with multiple people. And that's why this dance is different with this partner, because of the different things in the environment, right? Whatever has influenced our mood or our energy or our space, right? That this is unique, but it's not unique because it is just two different people and I'm still dictating the entire outcome of this dance. It's different because I appreciate the uniqueness of the person in front of me and what they bring to the table. And in fact, I encourage them to bring something to the table because I don't want to do the whole thing. I don't want to do all the work because then it is an object. That person is an object. I am doing everything. I am picking up the chair and moving that chair to another location, then taking that chair and moving it to another location. That chair has nothing else to add other than how it appeared, and that is exactly how it will leave. That is not our dance partners, right? That person is evolving and changing in the moment. Second to second, they are changing from that position that we brought them here to the next position that we bring them as a lead. That person's already changed. Maybe they felt a little bit of tension, a little bit of nervousness. And now when they're on this side, they're different already, right? From 3 steps in less than a fraction of a second. So we can't appreciate the uniqueness of the changes that are happening right in front of us. Forget the fact that there are changes beyond this dance. Then we are not open to everything that is actually truly possible and beautiful about the dance connection. So that's one of the things when it comes to our dance partners. We need to be open to the fact that there is another person in front of us that is unique, just like us, that has value to add, just like us, that has an expression that they want to share, just like us, that they have an idea and a vision of where things could go, just like us. And if we are so keen on being accepted and appreciated and seen for what we bring to the table just because we're leaders, that's not fair. We should share that openness and that request with our partners as well. A couple of comments here. Progress. Being aware of what your partner is doing, Maria said. Leader invites is better, in my honest opinion. Not sure what that's in reference to. As always, comments come in and I've already spoken for a couple of minutes. So if you could clarify, Marius, that would be great. Wade, a good connection is being aware of the comfortable positions she is. Bad connection from my partner is a disengaging part of avoiding the interaction, zero presence, acting before and observing. A leader invites better than dictates. Yeah, yep. Invitations versus dictations and demands. Absolutely. So going back to this notion of lead and follow. Now, I want to also talk about the follower's perspective, right? I've seen some comments where people say, well, as a follower, what if the lead doesn't have direction or their direction is unclear? One of the comments was based on timing. It was a video about timing. Like, who cares if you're off time? You can still have a great dance and a great connection. And there were two comments related to that. One was, well, what if the lead is off time? They're neither on one or on two, and there's never a moment that they settle into a certain timing. And then the other part was, well, if they're real beginners and they don't really know, they could hurt me. And that is not what I'm here for either. So I would rather avoid dancing with them. And this now is on the follower side to a lead, right? Like being open and receptive to what they bring to the table, regardless of what level they're at. So now we're shifting our conversation from equally skilled dancers to various levels. I've always said, curiosity is key. So if you're dancing with somebody who is dancing off time, if you get curious about that moment and say, I am used to words being placed in this order, looking at it as a game. I like looking at it like a game. I'm used to understanding sentences that have, a noun or object, a noun, a verb. Like I understand sentences like that. When you say someone who is dancing off time, it's nice to actually look at that and say, it's almost like looking at a completely different language that has a different grammatical structure and translating that directly to English, in this case, and saying, cat bite past dog. It's like, wait, what is that? What does that mean? Right? When we see something, so this is now kind of shifting outside of dance, and the idea, and I've talked about this before, transference in a previous live chat. The idea to really maximize what we can get from a situation is to transfer the skills that we already have, the approaches that we already have that work for us, that build connections, that bridge gaps, and use that in other areas to do the same. So if I saw words that were just randomly scattered, how would I look at that? Especially if I understand that this person is trying to communicate with me. Okay, that is what the dance is too. Even if they're offbeat, they're still trying to communicate with me and connect with me. So let's just say words are written out. I don't understand that. It's missing all of the structural things that I'm used to in English, the English language. What do I do? Do I just say, let me rip up that piece of paper. Don't care. I'm not listening to you. And I'm just going to keep on talking, regardless of what you're saying. Probably not, right? What do we usually do? We get curious about that. We're like, what exactly are they saying? The cat, and we try to piece it together. We try and figure it out. And once we figure it out, then everything else that they say, even though it's in this jumbled order, we can still connect with that person. Like, oh, cat bite in the past. So the cat was either bitten by the dog in the past or the cat bit the dog in the past, like something like that. We can start to clarify and we can ask questions and we get that connection. So in dance, it's very similar. Right? If you're dancing with somebody who's off time, there's no reason for us to look at it and say, well, this is not what I'm used to. And so therefore it's not possible to connect here. Instead, how about curiosity? How about saying, I wonder if I can connect. I wonder if I can figure out how this person moves. Right? Even those people that are even those people that are dancing offbeat, like just a little trick. Okay, even those people that are dancing offbeat are not typically hopping on one leg. So if you see one foot put down, you can assume that next foot's going to come down. So if they step with their right foot, you can assume based on where their momentum is or where their posture is, where they're leaning, where their next foot is most likely going to come down. And with the speed of which they're moving, you can usually also guess the tempo. Right? There are a lot of things that you can still figure out. There's still some structure there. It's not the structure we're used to, but it makes sense to that person to continue doing it. So why not get curious about it and try to connect on that level? So different timing is only a problem in the dictate mode. If follower can choose their own timing and response, there is no problem. Well, the leader can choose their own timing and response too. I am a huge advocate of lead and follow being quite equal in this dance. The follower might be following the leader most of the time in a dance. I don't like to think of it as she has to. The entire time, as you said, Marish, it's an invitation. Every goddamn second of the dance is an invitation. And with an invitation, it's not so much of would you like to do this in this exact way. It's not just about that. It's also, would you like to come here? And in that question, I open it up to you having the opportunity and the ability to decide how you want to come here. All I'm doing is setting the parameters. Would you like to come here in front of me within 2 seconds and finish on with your weight on your right foot? Now, if I do a little hippity hop, hop, hop to get over there, great. If I take 1, 2, 3 steps or 7 steps to get over there, doesn't matter. Point is, you opened it up. And that's where that kind of open-mindedness is really important, right? For us. So let me go to the other part about the person, the follower who is concerned about a follower who is concerned about being injured in the process. And leads also have expressed this concern. What if she's really rough and gripping onto my hands and that could really injure me when I'm trying to lead her because she doesn't know she's doing all of these things she's not supposed to be doing and I'm at risk here. And in those situations, same thing. When I first started dancing, one, I didn't know. I was probably the person who people were concerned about. She's a little too energetic, and I don't know if she's going to hurt me. Then I started getting better, and I would dance with different quality of dancers, right? Not to say that they're necessarily beginner or advanced, because sometimes it was the advanced dancers that were actually really rough. And I got scared of the pain, because I would get injured. I would feel sore after a dance. I would feel like something pulled in my shoulder. Um, and so I avoided those dancers. Then eventually, oh, those dancers where my screen goes black. Am I still here? Can everybody still see me? Test, test. I don't know if I'm still connected. Eek. If you can hear me and see me, okay, fantastic. Thank you. All right. Um, so about the pain and the injury. Then it got to a point where I started getting better and I was teaching and I started to understand the differences between like proper technique and how to move and physics of movement and all of these things. And then all of a sudden, a rough lead or a rough follow was no longer a concern. Not because they're not necessarily still dancing with this extra strength, unnecessary force, but because I understood it better. I understand movement better so that I could actually accommodate whatever it is that they're doing in a way that I could still connect with that person without any concern or risk to myself. And so that is another level of it from both leads and follows is if something doesn't work out, what is your default response? What is your default question? If something doesn't work out as a lead, let's say I'm leading something and the follower clearly does not follow it. Do I say, you're a bad follow? She doesn't follow anything. If I'm a follower and a lead does something that is really strong and I kind of felt pain in my shoulder, do I say, oh, this is a rough lead? Or can we stop and just look at ourselves? Not saying you can't have those thoughts in your head, but can I look at a follower who doesn't follow and say, did I lead that well enough? Did I do a good job of actually leading that? And if I did, whatever this follower actually did as a result, don't know why, but can I continue the flow of this dance and pick up wherever? From the follower's perspective, if the lead is rough, could I possibly have relaxed my frame too much in that moment? Do I even know my own frame? Do I understand what muscles I'm using, what muscles should be engaged to maintain frame and prevent these things? Because if my arm is extended but beyond my line, my like kind of side view here, if my arm is extended beyond, it is already in a position of weakness. Me, Magna, with all my years of dancing, I am in a position of weakness here. I don't dance from this position. I don't ever really have my arm extended like this. It's always ahead of me because I know that I can engage my frame when my elbow is slightly ahead of the side profile of my body. These are things that I know about myself now. So followers who are dancing and getting thrown around, question for yourself is, how good is my frame? Have I been working on it? Do I understand it? Because if I do, then this opportunity of roughness is looked at as an opportunity to continue to learn, just like fighters do. Okay? Jiu-jitsu, any type of martial art, You don't get beaten up and say, oh, that person is rough. You get beaten up and say, what was I missing? How could I improve my technique to not get beaten up? Why, if we look at other things like martial arts, that's how we approach that. Why are we not approaching dance in a similar way? Would it do us any harm to have that mentality and say, wow, this person was really hard to control, not pointing the finger and saying, oh, they suck. How about how could I improve my ability to control momentum that is beyond what I initiated? Right? Mari said, if the lead is rough, then I would say they are not a lead. Of course, I won't say that out loud, actually. So, an ownership opens the possibility to exponentially expand our learning process. That relates very closely to one of the forgiveness and ownership also. But yeah, ownership opens the possibility to expand our learning. So, the comment about if a lead is rough, then I would say they are not a lead. I appreciate that. There are different ways to look at it. If they don't know any better, and this is where I bring perspective and experience and our environment and our conditioning into play, right? If you don't know better, it's like a communicator. Let's say that someone is always used to yelling, and everything they do when they're speaking with people, if they're presenting a speech or presentation, they're always really loud, right? Me looking at that would say, well, there's no reason for all of that volume. It doesn't even make sense. So you're not really an effective communicator. In many ways, what they're doing still makes sense. What they're saying still makes sense. It's just the delivery that isn't great. But the delivery now, if I take time to understand where it comes from, I realize, oh, well, this person's always around people who speak like this. His speaking coach used to say you have to be loud, or his family was a large family and the only way to get attention or have anybody listen to you was to be louder than everybody else. I've seen that personally, even in my extended family, right? So with the lead, that's rough. Again, back to a little bit of curiosity. Oh, why are you like this? Where did you learn? Why do you think that you need this much force? Has anyone ever shown you otherwise? Or if we start looking at our connections and our relationships on the dance floor like that, we can truly open the doors to building deeper connections and having better experiences. Just because we're not coming in from a point of judgment, but from a place of curiosity. Right? So back to that mindset of who are you? Who are you in front of me? You know, maybe I know you, maybe I don't know you. If I don't know you, then I definitely shouldn't be sitting here assuming I know anything about you. All of this is about discovery. And how could I possibly judge you in 5 minutes? Like that, there's so many elements. Like if you're scared, you're rough. You could be a really great lead with people that are at your level or lower. But all of a sudden you dance with someone who's a little bit more advanced and you get nervous and tense and now you're rough. It's still a good lead. Actually, it's just not not effective in that moment or not effective with that follow. There are followers who need a strong lead to be led. And they would look at a soft lead and say, well, you know what? That's not a good lead. Right? So all of this comes back down to judgment and personal perspective and experience and projections. If I'm used to rough or not rough, if I'm used to really strong leads, a light lead, a soft lead would be an ineffective lead to me. I would say that person can't lead. I don't even know what he's trying to tell me to do. And if I'm used to softer leads, then someone who is strong is too rough for me. And I would criticize that. And likewise, from a lead to a follow, could have the same criticism of followers. So our problem is we come in with like this judgy attitude. right? Why don't we just ask some questions? Why don't we just open up to being curious about the person in front of us, acknowledge and understand the impossibility of knowing everything about their experience, where they come from, why they think the way they think, why they dance the way they dance in 5 minutes? And instead open that up to a conversation and discussion. Obviously, maybe that's not verbal on the dance floor, but it's still about exploring, initiating, being open to the value that someone provides, seeing them as an individual, as a subject, an equal subject, not an object for me to do something with. And appreciating the uniqueness of the moment, and that this moment would not exist except for these two people, these two individuals, exactly as they are connecting right now. That's how this moment's created. Now, we cannot force this moment to be duplicated. It's just not going to happen. Because today I'm 43 and certain months and a certain day. Tomorrow I'm one day older. Okay. I might look the same, I might have the same clothes on and everything, but I'm one day older and something's changed. So being open to that. Right? And then the aspect of, instead of pointing the finger outside, how about an internal reflection? It's not to say that whatever you observe from somebody else is not accurate. Maybe they are too strong by all standards. But how about looking at it yourself? We look at fighters, back to that analogy, we look at fighters who are training in a school. They don't look at someone who was able to beat them and say that person was too rough. They look at themselves and say, how can I block that? How can I prevent that? That's my approach to dance. That's what I've done. I don't look at a dancer as too rough. I can dance with anybody. Bring the roughness. In fact, if you've been in my classes, especially musicality classes and my lead and follow workshops, I've invited people. I know, I'm sure they're not doing their worst, but I've invited people to try to throw me around. And when I actually connect with the things that I understand about the body, momentum, right, placement of weight, once I connect with those things, there is no way for you to throw me around. You can't. That was my approach to rough dancers. Instead of pointing the finger and saying, I don't have any room to grow here, your problem, not mine, I said, no one's problem. Let me just try and understand better, because I can connect with you too. And in the process of learning how to connect with you, I will improve myself. Valverde from España, hello. Throw your comments in if you have any thoughts on this. By all means, add it to the chat. And I want to actually take this to a conversation level before I bring it back to the musical connection level, which was another comment I had seen. When we speak to other people too, right? There are the similar ways that we connect with people in dance that are our style, that are whatever, like either the timing that we dance on, or that they are light versus heavy as leads or as follows. Similarly, we tend to gravitate towards conversations and people that are like us too. But there's a lot to be learned by connecting and communicating with people that we might not agree with, or whatever they're saying doesn't make sense to us. And I say this because in every situation that I've had, whether it was orchestrated, like I used to do in high school, we had debate prep and model litigation and stuff. We'd have a real case from something in the news, and then we'd have our class split up into two with defense and prosecution and all this stuff. And I might not have actually believed in my side. I might have actually, if I looked at the case on the news, I would have said, oh, that person's guilty based on what information I have in front of me. But now here I am in class having to defend that same person and try and get them off, off this guilt, right? prove their innocence. So now I have to think a different way. And so conversations have kind of provided the same thing for me. It's a way to connect with people if I'm interested in connecting with them. In the dance community, there were many situations where there's almost this feeling of like, I don't, these are dancers. These are all my peers. These are my fellow dancers in my community. But I'm nervous about talking to the guys over there because they make jokes that I don't understand or something, right? Or I feel like this is sexist and I don't want to engage. And so I'm just going to ignore these people versus coming in and saying, how could I connect here? How could I shut this down without necessarily coming in judgy? So one of the skills I had developed, and though it sounds like it is abrasive, it actually built connections, right? I was in a space with people that I would like to connect with, but don't agree with the things that they're saying or how they're saying it. And instead, connect either through a joke or saying something that was witty or adding sarcasm or whatever it is that allowed us to see each other as equals, to acknowledge what was being said, to show either the ridiculousness of the statement or the inappropriateness of how it was being said by adding a little level of humor, but directed at the person who was initially pointing fingers at other people. And then laughing about it and connecting to a point where that was really something I would never hear again from that person, at least not in my presence. So conversations and communication are similar in that way. And it's the same thing with dance. So when we look at someone who's a dancer who is rough, if we just say, oh, this style of dancing or these group of people are too rough, I'm not even going to engage with them. How are we going to affect any type of change, right? The kind of change that we want. And I also can't approach them and say, hey, you guys are all rough. You need to fix the way you dance. No, I can't do that. Of course, they're not going to be open to that. But if I ask them to dance, right, and then connect with them and try and play with it or even send it back, which I have done on a couple of occasions with dancers, right? Dancers who would grip really hard with their thumbs, I would hold their hands for dear life. And they're like, whoa, why are you gripping? I said, that's what it feels like to me. Oh, really? I didn't even know. I'm so sorry. I guess I don't realize that. Right. But instead of avoiding them completely, I'm connecting with that person, sending something back their way, laughing about it. It's not judgy, just playing around, but also highlighting what is the issue that I found and then connecting with them. And not only have they improved, I have improved in my ability to communicate. I have improved in my ability to observe something and like communicate that discomfort with that person. I have highlighted something that I had an issue with, which I hope would get resolved. But how can anything get resolved if I'm not getting involved in some way or know someone getting involved? And this person has also grown, not just by improving their technique, but also through an openness of, hey, even awkward things and difficult things can be communicated without it being judgy. Right? There's so many parallels that we could apply from the way we communicate to the way we dance so that we can improve both our connections on the dance floor and off the dance floor. And I want to go into one more thing, which is the music. The connection with the music. This has also been a comment. Let me see if I can find it. And of course, yep, let's see. Oh, what's this? Oh, some interesting things in StreamYard happening. All right, so someone had said the music dancing comic book. So, you have to start with the music, because what you feel with the music is what you will use to connect with your partner, I guess. If I don't connect with the music, how can I tell what I feel to get connected? It's from the music to the dance, not from the dance to the music. And the connection should be through the music. If you connect without the music, it could be something else. And music is why you try to get connected. So in this situation, and this is a common challenge with a lot of dancers, a lot of the instruction out there, a lot of what we feel when we're actually dancing is the connection with the music. So first of all, I've always said your connection should be predominantly to the person that is able to react and feel whatever it is that you're doing. And that is your partner. The music is important. Absolutely. If it's an R&B song, you want to dance salsa, why would you even get on the dance floor? Sure. Music is important. But if you ignore the music and you connect with your partner, the music won't be hurt, and your partner will feel great about that interest and that attempt and the intention of connecting with them. If you connect with the music and you ignore your partner, or you subjugate your partner to your expression and connection to the music, your partner won't feel great, and the music will not know. Okay? It's not live. It's a DJ playing some music. So in either case, that connection with the music is one-sided, typically. It's you connecting with the music. The music is not connecting with you per se. Your partner, however, is a two-way connection. And it's more important for us to connect with our partner before trying to get that connection with the music. Now, if you are inspired by a song, by all means, you're going to want to feel like connecting with the music while you're connecting with your partner. And this is where you have a couple of options. If you are looking for a certain dance, by all means, go look for your partner that might be able to give you that dance. If you are looking for a certain dance and you don't know who can give you that dance, open yourself up to the possibility it could be anybody in the room. If you get a partner who is not capable of giving you that high level dance with the musicality and the connection with the music through your dancing, then you adapt and you say, either I'm going to try and lift my partner to the music and connect with them in a way that shows them small sneak peeks, like, hey, do you hear that? Look, watch, I'm going to do this thing with my shoulder or with my feet. Do you hear that? And listen, it's repeating itself. So you know what? I will stay here repeating this move, not just once, because that's how many times I do it and I shift to something else. No, I'll repeat it 3 or 4 times and maybe you can join me and now we can have this musical connection together. You have that option of trying to bring your partner on board. Or you can also just disregard the music. There are different ways to connect with music. You can connect with music on a melodic level, right? Like harmonies, melodies, instrumentation, vocals. You could connect with it on a lyrical level, like what are the actual musicians speaking about, which is kind of not possible if you're thinking Latin jazz, for example. Or you can connect with it on just tempo, okay? There are different ways to connect with it, and we're still connected to it. We're still dancing to the speed of the music, the beat. That's the part I'm going to connect with. So there are different levels of connection with the music, but ultimately, your connection with your partner is the most important, because your partner connection is a two-way street, whereas the connection with the music is a one-way street. Right? You to the music. The music is not going to change, does not care if you hit every accent or do not hit any accents, or on beat or off beat, or doing your own thing that has nothing to do with the music, or completely connected with every second of the music. Music does not care. Maybe if the musicians one day see your video, perhaps they will be excited and happy to see that. But in that moment, DJ playing a song, music does not care. Your partner does. You can create an impact on your partner and vice versa. So it's important to take care of the person in front of you. Second level on the musical connection is there are different expressions that we have to the music, right? Not everyone feels the same things. I've danced with people who are very musical, and we are hearing different parts of the song, right? We're both hearing the music perfectly. But as we know, with salsa music, there are so many layers and so many levels. So here I am hearing something that's in the horns and interpreting that, while my partner is hearing something that's in the piano and interpreting that. And so we're both interpreting the music, right? We're both actually being perfectly musical if you cut us in half and just looked at one person. And if you looked from the outside in, oh, yeah, I see that. That's the piano and that's the horns. But then when you connect us together, it's conflict, right? It's a headbutt because we're playing with two different things. And so these are other moments of connecting with your partner and appreciating that there are other ways to do things, that there are different expressions. And just as it's really a matter of extension, right? Just as you want your expression to be appreciated and followed, you have to be open to that from somebody else too. So maybe you do know the song inside out, but what if your partner knows some parts too? And what if they're inserting something the way they want to express it? Why does it have to be your way and only your way? Why is that way the right way, the only way? I did another live chat on that. Is your way the only way? It's not. Because if you, let's say even leads who are extremely musical, if you are now taking on the role of a follower and there's a leader who's leading you and they're musical, you're musical, and they're doing their own, like they're hitting things in a different way, but God, you can feel the music because you're used to leading. Are you able to just follow that musical expression? Are you able to just follow that? And if you're not, and if you want to insert something of your own, and you think that, hey, look, you don't hear those things, I hear those things, I want to share that with you, and you're frustrated that the lead is not responding to you in a way that's open to the value you bring to the dance, then how are you so frustrated with followers who do that too? Right? It's at the end of the day, there are a lot of things that we do in dance that we expect of our partners, that the approaches we take that wouldn't jive off the dance floor, and are things that we would not appreciate if we were on the receiving end. If we could start to open our eyes to the possibilities, first of all, that we're projecting, and Mariusz, you said that we are dictating instead of inviting, that's one step. Another aspect is the fact that two people involved here, two individuals, so just as I have my experience, my perspective, my connection with the music, my desired expression, the things that I want to do, so does the person in front of me. If they want to give me full control, it is still an invitation. And throughout that process, I want to make sure throughout that process that that person feels good about the journey along the way. There are many guides in touristy areas. Hey, I can show you this thing. I'll sign up to that. So I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, let's go here now, let's go there. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to follow this person because I'm saying, yes, I trust you. Take me on this journey and show me everything that you know. But along the way, what if I'm tired? What if I'm thirsty? What if I need a break? What if the sun is too hot and I need to be in the shade? I'm not changing the course. I'm not saying let's go somewhere else, but I have things about the journey. There are things about the journey that are impacting my ability to do it exactly as you would like to. You, the person who has done it a million times. Me, the person who might be doing it from the first time. And so, yeah, you need to check in, lead and follow, right? Check in with your partner. Whatever it is that you're guiding, that you're leading, that you're bringing someone on a journey, you always check in. Even when I insert as a follower, when I'm inserting musicality into the dance, into the partner work, it's very rarely something that I do on my own and just say, did it, doesn't matter what you think because I was able to execute it without you knowing. I always have eye contact with my partner. Was that okay for you? Yes, I know it might have shocked you. Was that okay for you? Right? Seeing how they feel, seeing how they feed off of what just happened. And if I sense something, then I adjust what I'm going to do next. And I'm speaking of myself as a follower. I'm not even talking about when I'm leading. So if I have this much consideration as a follower, should a lead not have even more consideration since they have been given the freedom to guide the entire dance, the majority of the dance? Right? So there's that aspect of like always checking in with your partner. This is another individual, not a tool. They have their ideas, they have their feelings, they have their experience, which is constantly changing. Even, of course, I got disconnected. Am I back? I think this is StreamYard or internet saying, Magna, maybe you need to make your live chats only 30 minutes. It's like that internal mechanism saying too long. Anyways, back to a couple of steps that we can take to connect better. Is the element of like checking in with our partners along the way. And that goes for the dance conversation, that goes for a a verbal conversation that we have, that goes for any of the relationships that we have, right? We might invite somebody to be in a relationship with us, right? They say yes to that friendship, that romantic relationship, whatever it is. And do we just coast through and keep doing whatever it is we want, even if that person is following along, or do we take the time to check in, right? If I just do my own thing, then I am not treating this person as someone of value. I'm not respecting this person as an individual. I am not considerate of this person and what they might be feeling, and I am not willing to adjust and adapt. But is that really who we want to say we are? I don't think we would ever define ourselves that way. If someone asked you, like, hey, are you an adaptable person? Or are you considerate of other people, what they think, what they feel? Do you value other people? Do you see other people for the uniqueness that they are? How would you answer? I would tell you, even the roughest, most traditional, conservative-minded people would say, yes, I am. But are your actions lining up with your behaviors? That's the question. So if you say you are these things, but you really aren't, you need to check yourself. If you say you are these things and you really want to be, or you really think you are these things, then, take the time to check whether your behaviors align with those principles, that you say you adhere to. So connection with your partner has to be open to the uniqueness of the other person. You have to see the value that they bring and the fact that without them, this would not be possible. Okay. A lead is a lead because there's a follower in that equation. There's a social dance because it's social between some people. It's not a solo dance. And so you as a leader, you as a follower cannot exist in a partner dance without your partner. You have to appreciate that and really look forward to it and try to connect with it. And if you can't, if you don't have the desire, you're not in the mood, you are looking for something specific, say no. It is so much better than forcing something and not being willing to make those adjustments to connect with the person in front of you. And then as it pertains to music, one, understand that people have different interpretations to songs. Right? We might know the exact same song. I know different parts where I want to accent different parts, or you know all of the lyrics. And so you're dancing it very lyrically, and the person's actually talking about falling in love. And I'm hearing percussion that's going really hard, and I'm very aggressive and energetic. And you're like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like it's soft, it's romantic. And I'm like, yeah, but don't you hear the drums? Neither one of us is wrong here. We hear something different, and that's okay, right? We don't want to connect, if we don't want to try and use this to connect with each other and see each other's perspectives, then maybe the dance shouldn't happen. But if the dance has already taken place, how can we adjust? And that goes back to, instead of judgment, curiosity, right? Instead of pointing the finger outward, point the finger inward. How could I be better? How can I look at this? How could I have adjusted this, or how could I have attended to the situation? How could I have approached this situation differently for a different outcome? What would I have needed in my pocket to help me? What would I need? And what could I learn in the meantime so that if I'm ever in this similar situation, I can have a different outcome? That's been my approach to dance, to conversations with people, to my connection on a verbal level, on a nonverbal level, friendships, relationships, everything. Yes, there are moments that are frustrating. Yes, there are times where I'm like, that person, right? That this finger goes out. I'm like thinking about that person. And then I stop. And I have to stop myself, because that is human nature too, sometimes. Right? I have to stop myself and say, okay, why did this go the way it went? What could have prevented this? How could I reframe this? How could I look at this in a different way so that I start to transfer different skills into the equation? Or how can I look at it in a different way so that instead of feeling like I was just a victim in this moment, like what could I have learned or done differently? Not to say that I won't be in the same position. Who knows what the outcome will be, but is there something that I can develop on my own that I can bring to this equation in the future? And that's, my entire dance has been a reflection of that. All my relationships are a reflection of that. And lastly, I want to share one more thing, because it just popped into my head, is we are all on different steps, different stages of this journey of life, this journey of growth, personal development, enlightenment, expression, connection. We are all along different paths, right? We might still all be heading to the same end, and kind of, I guess we are, right? Going from birth to the grave somewhere. But we're all at different stages, and we have to appreciate that people are at different stages, and we have to meet people where they're at. If I'm dancing with someone who's an intermediate dancer, who's only attended classes in one school, and that's all they know, and I'm sitting there thinking, how come you don't know all of these things? How come you don't appreciate connection? Why don't you think about musicality? And they're still working on their turn patterns, right? They're not there yet. So it's not fair to kind of expect the same based on me, 20, almost 25 years now with this dance, to then say, hey, you who have been dancing for 2 or 3 years, why are you not thinking this way? How long did it take me to get to thinking that way? Can I extend that grace period to others? That's important. Same thing like the communicator who is very loud. Why are they like that? Right? What has been their experience? We all want to become better speakers, but clearly they had a different experience that has kind of forced them to approach communication in this way, or people who are always talking down to everybody. Maybe they've been used to taking commands from other people all the time, right? And so that's how they speak to other people. They might get to a point where eventually they realize that this is not the best way to communicate and that there's room for improvement, but maybe they're not there yet. And maybe they will never get there. And that is that person's journey, right? Going back to some of the comments that I had seen, some people were saying, well, if this person is, it sucks to see people who have been dancing for like 10 years and they're still the same as they were 10 years ago. They're not learning, they're still rough and they're off time. Well, that's where they're at. You can't change people who don't want to change themselves. And the changes that you have adopted in your own life serve you. They might not serve those people the same way. And so they don't need to pursue that change. And it's not fair for us to sit there and say, well, why haven't you also grown the way I have? Maybe they've grown in other ways that we can't see. And again, back to the judging, no curiosity there. I'm not asking, hey, what's happened in your life? What are some of the things you've done? I'm just saying you haven't grown the way I have. You should know all of these things because I've been dancing the same amount of time as you and I know all of these things. Right? That's not fair. So going back to uniqueness, we are all individuals. We have something to offer. We bring something to the table, and that's what we need to do. I actually have a knock at my door, so I'm going to be right back. If you are, yep, I will be right back. All right, I'm back. We're still here. I do have to go now. Now, see, I'm getting like multiple signals. First, the internet connects, or the internet connection disconnects a little bit here and there, saying, all right, Maggie, your live chat's a little bit too long. And then I get a knock on the door that also says, all right, your live chat is a little bit too long. Mario said the things we are talking about should be taught from the first hour. There's no other priority. There are no term patterns without it. Appreciate it. However, again, I go back to what is our capacity for understanding? Going back to the uniqueness, we are all at different stages. I will tell you today, what I value in friendships is not what I valued when I was in my 20s. I had people who were older who used to tell me, trust me, these things aren't important. You will not put as much emphasis on these things in the future. But that's not what I listened to. Why? Because that's not where I was in my journey. I did not have the knowledge to even process and understand the importance of certain concepts and certain values and principles. Today, I do. When I'm teaching, yes, I do bring those to the table. But at the same time, if I'm speaking to someone who has not had experience to understand the depth and the reasons for things like connection and what that actually means, then it's hard to actually teach that, right? People have to be willing to change. People have to be willing to want change. They have to see the need for change. It's great to insert that. It's great to add that and share those details. I would recommend personally, if you're teaching term patterns, talk about all the different ways that those term patterns are intended to connect to people and what are the different outcomes from a term pattern. You might lead it this way, but it might be followed in this way. What do you do now? Let's open your mind to adapting and adjusting versus thinking that this is the only way for it to go. And if it doesn't go this way, then it's wrong. then either you are wrong or your follower's wrong, right? We can approach it that way. But some of these things about like connect with the music, for a lot of people, connecting with the music is staying on time. Right? To talk to them about, oh, do you hear this instrument? Do you hear that? Is above their head. So again, back to meeting people where they're at. Are they there yet? Right? It's worth sharing, but sometimes it just doesn't actually connect with them. It doesn't resonate with them. It's not the time yet, right? There are just so many things we have to just appreciate, that we are all walking on our paths. Some of us just started that path. Some of us are halfway down it. Some of us took a detour off the path. And some of us are at the end. Now we've started a new path. And if we don't appreciate the uniqueness of each person involved in this encounter, it is really difficult to connect, because we focus more on judging, we are projecting, we are not accepting of the uniqueness of the other person. We don't see the other person for what they are, what they bring to the table. We don't see ourselves as capable of much greater growth. Of course, we see ourselves as being able to grow. Yes, there's things I can learn, but the really exponential growth that comes from looking at somebody else and saying, what do they bring? How do I adapt to them? How well can I do this with them? Versus how well can I do it based on the things I learn and I keep on learning. Right? There's so many levels and so many layers to it, but it all starts with appreciating where we're at any given stage, appreciating the uniqueness of the person in front of us, trying to connect with that person to understand them, but to also see them and value them and appreciate that this moment is a two-way street. I have something to say. I might have approached you with something to say, but you will have a response to whatever it is I say. And as a dance, similar, like a dance, there's a conversation, a non verbal conversation, the same as a nonverbal conversation in the right. Disconnected again. I'm wrapping up seriously this time. Okay. But like a conversation, the dance is the same in the sense that though there's someone who initiates, it is a constant back and forth. And if we can appreciate the other person, that they have a response, that they might have their own expression, that they might have things that they want to explore as well, then we keep on checking in with that person and we both carve out the path of this dance, carve out the path of this relationship, this conversation. Mindset is everything, you know, and we are all capable of it. We might not be there yet. And that's also not for us to force that on anybody else. I know people that I have conversations with about philosophy of connection and human relationships. And that's after he got his PhD and is now, you know, studying and practicing psychology. That wasn't 15 years ago when we met, when he was in undergrad or something like that. Right? It takes time for us to see other possibilities. It takes time for us to feel like there might be a need for change and then actually take the steps to see what change we need and implement that change. And then look at the outcome, look at the results, reflect, do it again. Right? So let's just be open to the people that are out there, the people that we're trying to connect with, appreciate in this dance. I know there's a leader and a follower. Okay, I get that, but it does blend a lot. Okay, and if you are truly a true leader, you're able to follow the cues of your follow. And if you're a true follower, you can also communicate well to your lead if you need to. If you need to do something different or if something's not comfortable, those are moments that you're actually leading the dance. Okay? Ultimately, it's the openness to each other as being seen as bringing value to that situation and that intention of wanting to connect with your partner that makes a difference. And all of the things that you already do that you resonate with off the dance floor, when you connect with someone and you smile and you're laughing and your body language is open, and if you tap them on their shoulder or something, there's no, like, you're not pushing them over, you're aware of how much contact or force to use when you're connected with them. Like, all those things apply to dance as well. So if you're thinking, I want to connect with this person, and then not a single part of you is saying, when I'm connected with my friends, I'm laughing, I'm smiling, I'm making eye contact. And now on the dance floor, I don't look at this person. My face is completely stiff and stoic, and I'm just going through the motions with a posture that doesn't even look like I'm interested in being here. Right? So connection is multi-layered. You got to understand what connection means. Have you defined it? Can you define it outside of dance? And if you can you bring any of those things into the dance, and vice versa from dance outside of dance? And then seeing each other as unique, connecting with the person for what they bring to that situation, uniquely bring to that situation. That moment does not exist without both of you. Okay? That dance is not possible. That conversation is not possible without both of you. And the outcome of that moment is not possible without both of you. And that outcome is the different ways to express to the music, the different possibilities of a move that you didn't think could go somewhere and it ended up creating a new move, the different pieces of knowledge that you learn from conversing with someone who's also sharing back and forth, or perspectives, and the different understandings that you get, and the different things that you learn about yourself that you say, I have more room to improve in these areas, and the different things and depths of the person that you get to learn in front of you by just being there, appreciating that they are unique and bringing something of their own to the table. So yeah, I'm now going to wrap up. If you like this chat, if you like this live chat, if there are any comments that you have, please leave it in the comments on the YouTube. The replay will be available on YouTube. If you have any more personal feedback or questions or things that you'd like me to address in future, feedback form is the ideal place to do that. magnagopal.com/feedback. I appreciate your feedback. It makes me think that you've been actively listening, just like we're talking about here, right? You've been present, you've been actively listening, you have things to share with me. And again, this is also a two-way street, even though it's, looks like a one-way video, it's a two-way street. Like, your feedback, your comments, your thoughts, your questions make a difference in who I am. Okay, and how I approach things and how I grow as an individual, and ultimately, again, bring back to the equation, to the community, to the situation, to the conversation. Okay. There are a lot of ripple effects, basically, to every step that we take to connect and interact with another person. So I hope you enjoyed it. This is live chat number 40. Live chat number 40. We are going on in 8 more live chats. It'll be 4 years that we've been doing a monthly live chat on various topics. I appreciate your interaction. Mariusz, Wade, thank you all for being here. Continue engaging with the content that's posted out there. If there are things that I see that I would like to address, I'll definitely do it in a future live chat. If you have thoughts and ideas for an upcoming live chat, let me know. You can also connect with me on Instagram or on Facebook, or any of my channels at Magna Gopal. And I will see you next month, August. I think the next live chat will most likely be on August 1st. I know we shifted it to Wednesday because tomorrow is July 4th, which is a holiday in the US. It's on a Thursday. So August, I believe we'll be doing August 1st, which is a Thursday. Thank you again for joining me. I have a lot of thoughts on this, and this hour and 20 minutes is still not enough for me to go into everything. But I appreciate the comments and what you are also doing in your own lives. Some of you are students, some of you are instructors. So I appreciate that you are pushing similar approaches and sharing this with other people you dance with, your students, so that they can kind of open their mind too. But just appreciate that everybody's on a different path, or even on the same path, or at different stages along that journey. And we just got to meet people where they're at. We got to be open to when they're ready for change, and we got to be willing to be there with not a dominate, this is how it should be, but more have a look at this. What are your thoughts? Do you want to follow this? How would you follow it? This is the two options I have. Do you have a different option that I could consider perhaps? And you can now expand my horizon and broaden my perspective. I'm open to that. And I invite it, I encourage it. And with that, I wish you all a lovely rest of your Wednesday, a lovely rest of your week. If you are in the US, happy 4th of July as well. And, keep doing what you're all doing and stay open-minded and try to connect, with the people around you. You never know what they're going to bring into your life. I hope you all have a lovely day. My stomach is grumbling too. There's definitely, multiple signs today to wrap up. And exiting is always fun.